I'll call I can't believe it's May Park Board meeting for 2020. You all got a copy of the minutes that came in the electronic packet that Deb sent out. Did anybody see any changes or corrections or anything that need to be changed in them? If not, the chair will move for approval.
Move to approve.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Yes. Motion carried.
You know, it would be really, excuse me, it would be helpful only because I don't have that big screen. Could you just say diesel motion or, and just say your name? Because otherwise I have to keep flipping through.
So I think Pat would have done the motion and I would second it.
Okay.
Great.
Thank
Zeal
you.
second, sir.
Okay.
Okay, new business off the bat. We've got election of officers for next year. So starting with that, I guess it's
You're looking for
open.
nominations, Pat? You're looking for nominations?
Yeah,
Would you be willing to continue to serve as chair, Pat?
I'd do it one more year.
I would make a motion to approve you as chair.
Kennedy, I'll second.
I second it.
I'm
Sorry, Karen.
honored. Thank you. I've been nominated and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I'm honored to do it. Pam was our vice chairman last year. Deb?
Yes, she was. I thought I had that in the packet. Sorry, I don't know where it went, but
It's on the agenda. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's on the agenda.
yeah, I had who was here last year, whatever. I must have fallen off. But
Mike,
anyhow,
Mike, would you be interested in being a vice chair?
Yeah, I will be, yes.
okay.
I would nominate Mike for vice chair.
Karen, second. Karen Stankovic, second that.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay. All those in favor of Mike Kennedy being the vice chair
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
next year, say aye. Motion carried. Thank you, Mike. No good deed will go
Thank you.
unpunished.
Thank you, absolutely, yeah.
It was mostly the boat behind him that gave me that idea. So.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, right. I'm not actually out on the river, if you can tell.
Yep. And Deb is technically the secretary, or does it,
Yeah.
Simon,
but
you gotta turn it off right now.
the position is to be filled.
Okay.
So,
Paul is the acting secretary, or Paul's secretary. I'm the acting. So
but Paul,
It's a really,
you're the council
it's a
member.
really easy job if anybody would like to do it.
But Paul, you're our council member, right?
Yes, I am. Mhm.
And you're going to continue as council member on the park board? Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it if nobody else is interested. That's fine. Unless you would like to do it.
Paul, I think that's great if you want to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All those in favor of Paul, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, Paul. Next item we have on the agenda is for an Eagle Scout project. You had the packet, in the packet it showed the pergolas to be built out at the dog park. And they're going to be
Sam.
joining our feed now.
Yep. See. Well, let's see. Where is he? Where'd they go?
I'm right here.
I think Sam is
Wonder
there
where they
somewhere.
went.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there's Sam.
Oh,
Hi, Sam. Welcome.
Thank you. Sam, why don't you just introduce your project, and then if the park board has any questions for you, just feel free to answer them at that time. So go ahead.
So what I'm planning on doing is I'm planning on building 2 separate pergolas at the dog park. They would be 8 feet by 16 feet long, so you could fit about 2 tables in under each of them, and there'd be 2 separate areas of the park, so then people could go to each of them and wherever they were.
Great idea. And
Yep.
seeing in the packet that the dog park people are all in favor of it, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Sam, can you tell us a little bit about like how you fundraise and how you will build this? Do you have like some skills? Like do you have some pretty good skills for building stuff?
Yeah, so my brother, he also did a pergola, so we have experience building them. And I have a grant that's $250, and I will raise the money by myself and use my money too.
And you think do you feel confident you can raise enough money for it?
Yes, I feel confident that I will be able to.
I think it's a super cool idea. So
Yeah.
Thanks for thinking of the city and the dog park. Last question for building it. If you get to the point of building it, are you thinking like you would put a little fence around it while you're building it, or how would that work with the? I'm thinking like the dogs and the people might still be in there, right, when you're building it?
Yeah, I feel like that would be that's probably what we'd end up doing, keeping a border around it, so then dogs wouldn't be coming in and possibly getting injured. Same with the people.
And Mike, can you speak to that at all? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, we would have to delineate it somehow. Obviously, the city could supply the T-post and like the snow fence.
Yeah.
And if Sam could build one at a time or something like that, we could do it in that, progression.
Whose snow fence do we use for booster days?
That's all through the Roberts Lions Club. So, but we have enough fencing for that.
Well, okay. We do, okay.
You could either use fencing or could we, well, I guess that would be better for the dog.
It's that orange plastic fencing versus fence.
That makes sense.
And then
go ahead, Paul.
my last question was just, so Mike, maybe you can answer this too. So from sort of a public safety perspective, would the building inspector then be involved or something, just to like make sure everything's safely constructed, basically?
Yeah, we would want to have them review the plan and just check in. Sam, do you remember with your brother's pergola, did you have to, I'm trying to think, is that something that you have to pull a permit for?
My dad would know more about this.
I can answer that. We actually met with David Gray and I want to say Han, but that's not right. Anyhow, and we brought the design. This was built at EP Rock, the elementary school, and brought the design for him. He materials and the sizes and everything else. And he said we don't actually have to pull a permit for a pergola. It's not considered a permanent structure. But there's no reason we couldn't take the scaled down plans to David and have him review them, make sure he doesn't see anything different from what we did originally.
Okay. Yeah. And then, like I said, between myself or one of the building inspectors, we would just pop in when Sam finished with the unit, just to make sure that it is safe and adequate to open up to the public, and that the city isn't facing any liability for a failed structure. So
one of the things that Sam didn't mention as far as fundraising, of course, we're always open to having provide funding or helping with the fundraising opportunity. So,
Well
Samuel.
put. Well put. Nice project.
Very nice.
Yeah. I had a quick question, and I don't know if it was in the write-up, and I missed it. You refer to wood. Do you know exactly what kind of wood you're planning on using for it?
We have the types. I have them right here. Give me a second.
I think he's asking the type of wood, not the sizes of wood.
Yeah. I know we're going to be using some green treated,
Okay.
and also there's another. Do you remember the?
Yeah, the majority will be brown treated. We
Okay.
found that brown
Mhm.
treated is stable, it's dry, it lasts longer than green treated.
Yep.
Aero Building Center said that for some reason they don't carry brown treated 2x4s anymore. They did last October when we built the other pergola. So we're going to dig a little deeper on that. The intention is it'll be all brown treated. It looks good and it'll last longer than green treated.
Yeah. Okay.
Very
Sounds good. And then maintenance. Is there any ongoing maintenance plan for that structure, or like how does the one at EP Rock? Is that looked after by the troop or anything, or?
No, there wasn't any long-term maintenance plan because there's, it should last a good 20 or 30 years, with brown treated lumber.
Okay.
The one thing I
Good
did
project,
note in the,
Sam, thank you.
yeah.
Yep.
The one thing
Go ahead,
I did
Mike.
note in the issue, the one thing I did note in the issue sheet is to include some type of border, Sam, on the ground where wood chips don't spill into the grass, and then the mowers are kicking up the wood chips towards the dogs and people, so on and so forth. So try to contain the wood chips with either green treated 4x4 or green treated 2x6 or something, just kind of contain those wood chips.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea, Sam. Just so I know, is the top of it open, or does something go over the top of that?
Right now, what it is, so as it's a pergola, so it has the boards going sideways, but it flips. So through the center, on one side is going one side is going sort of between them, and the other side is going the other way, so that anytime during the day you can be in the shade on either side.
Okay, but it's like an open air thing, kind of. Okay, gotcha.
There's no ceiling on it, but we talked about the dividers going north and west, north and south, and east and west will allow different shade, different times of the day on each of the different tables, was the concept.
Okay. Very cool. And Pat, are we looking for a motion to?
Yes, we do. We need a motion to approve it.
So I would move to.
I have one question. I don't think you just do the building. You don't put the tables under there, right?
No, normally not.
So where did the tables come from in EP Rock? Like, how would we get tables
I know
under there, or would that not be?
at the dog park right now, there are a couple tables already there, and we could move a couple of them under there.
Okay. Okay.
Are those, they may be park tables, I'm not sure, Deb, or Pat?
No, actually, those were donated through a different organization. So we don't usually, through the school, I believe that's where they did it. Donated the tables. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So Paul's moving to.
Yep. I would move to approve the Eagle Scout project and thank Sam for thinking of us. That's awesome.
Yep.
Yes.
I second it, and I also agree. Thank you.
With no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried. Sam, thanks for a great project.
Yeah, thank you very
Nice
much.
addition.
Thanks, Sam.
Good luck with that.
All right.
So just to clarify too, I think we would make, am I thinking right? We would make a recommendation to the full Common Council. Is that right?
Yeah.
To accept it.
Yep.
To accept.
Mhm.
I'll go on for the next meeting.
Okay, so I just want to
Go
make sure,
on to
Sam,
the
you know that
main.
there's some more steps involved, just so that, sometimes you have to be patient as this plays out kind of with different committees. So
All right.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
thank you.
Thank you.
Sam. Next item we
Okay.
have
We
up
can-
was a memorial bench to go in Lakefront Park.
hmm
And
I don't know if they've joined us or
In-
not. Let's see.
Can you hear us?
Oh, are you with us?
Yep.
Okay,
I just can't figure out how to get the video up.
that's all right.
That's okay.
Okay.
So why don't you introduce yourself and the reason why you want to put a memorial bench in one of our parks and kind of the general location. So, and then the park board will discuss and motion to approve if they deemed it's necessary.
Okay. My name is Mary Spear. I have lived in St. Croix County. I live out by just north of Baldwin about 26 years. My daughter, Ashley Spear, is the person I'd like to put a memorial bench on the river for. She was born and raised in St. Croix County, spent her entire life in St. Croix County, and spent the last 5 years of her life in Hudson. She was very, very active in Future Farmers of America and 4-H, and she worked at the cookie factory. She spent a ton of time on the river. Her and her boyfriend had a boat. They spent a ton of time on the river. That's where she died. She died of carbon monoxide poisoning on the river. So typically when we all think about her, we go down to the river and we sit on those benches and we look at it and we think about her. And so we thought it would be a great thing for the family and a lot of her friends. We had her cremated, but we haven't buried her. So there isn't really a spot for her friends to go visit her. And we thought that was the ideal spot, somewhere in that park facing the river so people could just go sit there and think about her. And originally, the reason that she died 2 years ago, we were going to do this sooner, but we were waiting for Bob Dow to make us a bench before I realized that I can't donate a specific bench, that I need to pay for one like you have. And I'm fine with that. But otherwise, I would have done this about a year ago. So that's why we would like to put one there, and we're hoping that you approve it.
So
Mike, do you have anything to add?
So in your packet, I did give a general location of where I thought it would fit. There's plenty of space on the south side of the Toll Bridge Road. I highlighted it in red.
Yep.
So I think if Park Board approves it tonight, obviously it goes on to Planning Commission for approval of location, the council. But it's a good spot. Like I said, people use it, and it's a good location.
Beautiful spot.
So Mary, thanks first of all for bringing this to us, and I'm sorry about your loss with Ashley.
Thank you.
I think it would be a really cool way to commemorate her, and the river connection really makes a lot of sense. So thank you for explaining that. Mike, maybe you can help me with this. We went through kind of a big snafu with memorial benches on the Common Council several months back, and we haven't gotten back to it. Currently, under the policy, and that was in the packet, there's a piece of the policy that, as written today, would exclude this type of a memorial bench. However, I think that there's an appetite on the Common Council to change that policy. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, in terms of what we do tonight, it would make more sense to me, not out of disrespect or not a desire to do the bench, but simply as a procedural thing, to perhaps table this tonight and to go to Common Council to amend or change that city policy on memorial benches first, and then to come back and revisit this. So I'm just trying to think, Mike, if I'm missing something or if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense to me, Paul, because like you said, there is some language in there that needs to be changed in order for, to allow for more people to access the memorial program, right? So right. I would agree with you, just to get that clarified first and then come back and approve it.
Right, and I want Mary to understand, I think that we can do that. I think that's very doable. It's just something that the council has not had time to get back to in the last few months, but this might be the thing that gets us back to the table talking about that. Mm-hmm. But I think if we can make that change, I would like to encourage, other families to come forward too, but I think we do have to amend that policy before going. So my recommendation, I guess my motion would be just to table this tonight and then try to kick this up to Common Council, and then we will get it when it comes back, if that makes sense.
It makes sense to me. I recognize that part of the policy that you're talking about, because when I read it, I said, oh, this isn't going to work. But then I said, what the heck, let's try anyway. All they can do is tell me no.
And I don't want to tell you no. That's why I'd rather table.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you no. I'd rather have the council deal with this straight on and just say, we really need to adjust that policy. Because the other thing I want you to know Mary, is that this is not the first time the city has done memorials. But other people have brought it up as a consistency thing. And so I think the smartest thing is just let the council hash out a new policy, and then we can come back to this. And I don't anticipate a problem with it eventually getting approved.
That's great.
Good. So do you need a motion, Mike, to table it, or can it just be done?
I think
Let's have a motion to do it. Paul made the motion, and
Can I go second?
somebody want a second?
okay.
Any further discussion? If not,
Well,
all those in favor, say aye. I'm
Well-
sorry, Paul.
Yeah, my discussion point is just that, so Mike, is that something that you or something that Pat brings to, brings to Aaron basically to make that connection for the next meeting?
Yes, so
Yep.
I will talk to Aaron and get it on the next council agenda. So then Mary, that means for you, if the plan is amended, the request would come back to our June park board meeting for approval and then go through the process from that point.
And I would assume, Deb, you'd send me an email and let me know.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I'll keep you
Awesome.
informed, Mary, for sure.
That
Yep.
would be awesome.
We've talked about it, the process. And we knew that this possibly could happen because the application was the only thing that was approved at the last discussion of the memorial policy. They didn't change language.
Correct.
So now this is kind of getting it all back out on the table again. So that'd be good.
Oh, good.
That will be good. So all those in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carried.
So just
I
a
think
point,
that'll be really good to get that cleared up.
yeah, just a point of clarification for Paul and Pat and the rest of the board is if I bring this to council, they're probably going to want a recommendation from park board on what changes they'd like to see in that policy. And
Yes, that's true.
it's not on the agenda for discussion tonight. So I don't know the formality or the legality of bringing changes to council for the next meeting without having park board sign off or approve those changes. Paul or Pat, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think it's something that council could do without a recommendation from park.
So do I.
Okay.
Well, I believe that they were really wanting the park board to support memorials in the parks, so,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's kind
With
of
that,
what the
for
main-
clarity, I think we should say, or Paul, I don't know, as our council representative on the park board, if you want us to make a formal statement of some kind that we are in support of memorials
Well, I guess Mike's point is that we
of
can't.
some kind being allowed in the park.
But I think Mike's point, I would be personally, but I'm saying I don't think we can talk about that tonight as a statement because it wasn't on the agenda.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Because you have to have the 24-hour notice for public. It's kind of a legal thing. We would have to come back.
So without it being, I trust your judgment as to what you feel the park board would want represented when you go back to the council meeting.
What I would simply say, Mike, is let's bring it to council and just say, this is something we know that we've talked about before. And it would be refining the policy on memorials for, and I think it could just happen at a council level and come back to park board.
Okay.
That would be my thought, yeah.
Okay.
Paul, is there a particular point in we have in our packet, we have the
It's
policy
section 2.3, which is on page, I believe it's on page 22 if my notes are right here. Section 2.3 is what we'd want to look at.
Okay.
Well, it's 2.3, and then it's also, that they can, 1.2, where it says that they include benches and, too, so.
Okay.
So moving on,
Like I
then,
said,
the next item we have
Okay, so we'll put it on to,
to use the band shell in Lakefront Park?
yeah,
Mike?
let's see, is Jessica here? Or Jessica? Not seeing. I'm not seeing anybody. Are you?
No.
Well, if you want to just let them know that it went to safety committee and this was.
Mike, you want to take?
Yeah. So this is an event that went to Public Safety Committee just out of the numbers that were possibly going to be at the event based upon the application that we received. It did not meet the numbers, so the Public Safety forwarded it on to Park Board to approve. I believe we did discuss this at our last meeting and did approve it. However, due to the COVID-19, they're unable to have the event when it was originally scheduled in May. So they're requesting to push back their event to September 19th, 2020. It does meet our current lakefront band shell use policy. So I have no hesitation recommending approval for this event.
Carol, entertain a motion to that effect.
I would move to approve.
Kennedy will
I
second.
second that.
Any further discussion? We have approved it once in the past. It's just a postponement.
My only question on this one was the 10 p.m. deadline, which is it says 3 to 10 on the application, and then on the policy it says must be vacated by 10. So just that they would know that apparently according to the policy it has to be, like, all your stuff has to be out of there by 10. So that's the only thing I would look at that as. I mean, if they cut it off at 9:30 or whatever. So it's just something that they probably already aware of. But
All right.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carried. Any old business that you need brought up, Mike?
No.
Okay. If not, you want to give us an update on the project and the status of where we're at with it?
Yep. So I'll run through my list here on the agenda. Grandview Park Pavilion, the contracts have been signed. And so we are finalizing the architectural drawings and plans. I just got them today. So David is looking them over. I'm looking them over. And as soon as those are approved, they can start construction of the Grandview Park Pavilion. Walnut Street construction, Pember is going to start removals tomorrow morning, starting at 7:30. They're going to perform removals tomorrow, Thursday, start forming on Friday. Their intention is to pour that street next week. We will have it barricaded off for the duration of the project. So nobody will be able to walk down the Dyke Road during this time. And I have been in contact with Gordy Jarvis, and he knows what's going on with the project. So, you know, with the COVID-19 restrictions, it's worked out in our favor where we can just shut the whole thing down. They can get in, they can get out and complete the project. So that'll be starting tomorrow. Burton Park redesign, I have had some initial conversations with Becker Arena Products on permanent hockey boards, and I'm just getting a quote from them later this week. This will be on the next month park board agenda with a kind of a preliminary drawing, kind of resituating a couple of one of the baseball fields, moving some fencing around, and then making room for that permanent hockey facility and the skating rink. So look forward to that coming up on the next month's meeting, and we can maybe approve, preliminary approve the design, and then I can go out and get final quotes for excavation and fencing, because some of the fencing will have to be moved, so on and so forth. So that's in the works. Lakefront Park boat launch redesign. So Bolton and Mank finished the survey work last week. The geotech work has been completed. Fourth is putting together the preliminary designs, the alternate designs together, and that will probably be on next month's park board meeting for discussion and approval moving forward. So that is still in the works, and like I said, we're making progress on that. And then finally, the park's operation under COVID-19, like Deb had stated earlier, the playgrounds have been caution taped off. We have a lot of signage out in our pavilions. In the Dyke Road, the dog park, just making people aware of the recommendations of social distancing. We haven't opened up restrooms at this time. We are going to wait and see kind of what the orders are from the state. The problem is right now is even if we open up the restrooms, cleaning supplies are in hard demand right now. So we barely have enough to keep our facilities cleaned at this point. So to have to go in and clean restrooms 2 or 3 times a day is going to be challenging. So we'll just kind of see moving forward if we're going to open those up for the season and when we can. In the meantime, we do have portable toilets out to get us by until we can figure out what we're going to do in the long term. Lakefront Park, the beach, there is some support of trying to open it, and we'll try our hardest to do so. Staffing might be a problem, but we'll just kind of play that one by ear, kind of week by week, and see what the recommendations are. I know over in Minnesota, a lot of the parks, our public beaches over there have been closed for the season. So we'll just kind of, stay abreast to the latest from the CDC and go from there. So other than that, no organized sports allowed yet in the facilities, no baseball being played. And people are still getting out. Like I told Pat, it's like you want people to get out and about and walk and enjoy the parks, sit in the grass, throw a football with your family, so on and so forth. So we don't want to be shutting down completely, but we got to be cognizant of this day and age that we're living in. And then finally, I'll just say the boat launch does remain open at this time, and we had a good weekend last weekend. So we're trying to keep the parks open as much as we can through this pandemic. So,
Yeah.
Do you have any questions, anybody?
Just a question, Mike, on the timing for the Grandview Park Pavilion. If those plans look good, like what are we thinking in terms of when the ground would be broken on that and when it would be constructed?
So in the contract, it does have 120 days from the time that the ground breaks. However, in the contract, they did put in some language that I signed off on it, that materials might be delayed due to the pandemic, and that they might push beyond that 120-day timeline, which is fine. I told them that I want to see it completed this year, and they said, "Oh yeah, no problem. It'll get completed, this summer into the fall." So I haven't got a timeline on groundbreaking.
Okay.
Once the architectural drawings are approved, then we'll schedule when that ground will be broke.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. Anything for future agendas that we need to bring up besides the memorials? If not,
So we do have the memorials. We'll have Burton Park. We'll have the boat launch, and then I still have those for the park plan. I don't want to do that over Zoom. I'd want to do that in person. So
Yeah.
I'm still on the list to knock that out. So when we get back together, when we can convene as a park board in City Hall, we'll tackle that too.
okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I would motion to adjourn.
Cheryl seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, folks.
Thank
Thank you.
Mike,
Be
thanks.
safe.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.